Okay, so our next topic is the pollen haploids. Now, as you all know, we have studied largely about the pollen grains. You know many aspects regarding with the pollen grains. These are nothing but the male gametophyte, which are found in the plants, right? These pollen grains are created when the flowers are get mature, and these the primary function of this flower is to get transferred to the stigma, where it will release the male gametes. So, it directly or indirectly, it will take part in the pollination and the fertilization. So you can say it is the most important haploid part of the plant which act as a male gametophyte. Now here in the plant tissue culture, what is the application of pollen grains, right? So pollen grains are basically haploids, and when we say pollen haploids in the plant tissue culture, we are going to create the haploid plants out of the pollen grains. As you know, pollen grains is already the part of the plant, right? It is already present on the parent plant, and we use the X plant from these parent plants. And X plant can be anything. That is, for example, the leaves can be the X plants, stem can be the X plant, the roots can be the X plants. In the very similar way, we can also use the pollen grains as an X plant to create the haploid plants out of it. And that is why we say the heading as a pollen haploids, because the haploid plants can be created by using the X plant as a pollen grain. All right. So we should understand what do you mean by the pollen haploids. In general, first you should know what is the haploids meaning in the plant tissue culture. Then after that, we should understand what is the pollen haploids. Then how we do it. Okay. What is the procedure of creating the pollen haploids, and what are the different advantages and the disadvantages of this particular technique. Okay. So consider this is your syllabus. We are dealing with the paper number 1 and the chapter number 5, that is morphogenesis, and we are here at the pollen haploids. Okay, in relation to plant tissue culture, you have to understand the pollen haploids. Okay, so first of all, let us understand in general by what do you mean by the haploid culture. Okay, what is the culture which involves the haploid organs in the plants. Now see, the haploid culture is an in vitro technique used to produce the haploid, that is the cells that have the half number of chromosomes in the plants. So basically the haploid culture is that culture in which we produce the haploids. For example, you take the haploid part of the plant, generally the pollen grains, right? Pollen grains or gynosia or any part of the female gametophyte or the male gametophyte can be act as a haploid, right? So these are haploid explant you should take, and out of this haploid explant you create the haploid plants. Okay, and haploid literally means here the one which has the half number of chromosome. As you know, if you take the example, for example, if there are 28 total chromosomes in the plants, then haploid number will be the 14. Okay, so the 14 number will be present within this particular pollen grains, and in the haploid culture we are using that part of the plant which is having the haploid number of chromosome, that is the half number of chromosome. So this 28 number is considered as a diploid number, while this 14 is considered as a haploid number. And if any plant contains the total 12 chromosomes, that is the diploid number is 12, then the haploid number will be the 6. Okay, so generally pollen grains are the very ideal material to produce these kinds of haploids, because they were containing the half number of chromosome, and they were able to create the whole new plant out of the single pollen grain. Okay, so the haploid cultures are very famous in vitro technique. Okay, in laboratory we are doing it artificially, hence we are describing them as the in vitro technique. And this in vitro technique, by using this technique, we can create the haploid plants within the plant tissue culture laboratory artificially. And this haploid literally means the presence of the half number of chromosomes. Now see, the very first time who has reported the natural occurrence of the haploid plants is the Blasley. Okay, the Blasley is the name of the scientist who has first reported the natural occurrence of the haploid condition in the Dhatura plants. So basically, although we are doing here the in vitro technique, that is the artificial technique, that is the plant tissue culture technique, but these haploid plants are also present naturally in the natural world. That is, this condition is naturally found in the Dhatura plant. Dhatura plant naturally shows the presence of the haploid plants. So how these plants get converted into the haploid plants instead of the diploid plants? It is due to the naturally occurring phenomenon of the parthenogenesis, right? That is the embryo development from an unfertilized egg. For example, you know, in a plants, the egg is created by the female gametophyte, and the male gametes are created by the pollen grains, right? Then these male gametes are fused with that of the egg to create the zygote, and the zygote is nothing but the diploid structure, right? It's a diploid cell. Whereas on the other hand, these eggs are haploid, right? And the male gametes are also haploid. But what happened in the parthenogenesis? The male gametes, if these male gametes does not able to fuse with the egg, this egg get directly converted into the embryo. So the egg is only containing the half number of chromosome, that is n number of chromosome. If natural mixing is there, the n plus n will be resulting in the 2n condition, that is the diploid condition. But the natural mating has not happened, and hence these particular eggs suddenly they got converted into the embryo. So without the and why this haploid plants got created at a first place? Due to the process of parthenogenesis, in which if there is a condition of inability fusion between male and female gametophyte, in that case, the unfertilized egg will directly get converted into the embryo, and this embryo will directly convert into the whole new plant, which will be the haploid plant, right? Now, this process of parthenogenesis is the only natural cause that leads to the production of spontaneous production of the haploids, okay? So basically, in general, when you say naturally how the haploids can be produced, there is only and only one way, that is the parthenogenesis, okay? Parthenogenesis is only process naturally occurring in the natural world where the haploid plants are getting created. While on the other hand, if you want to do it artificially, the plant tissue culture is the only technique, okay? So the haploid culture we are doing in the plant tissue culture lab, it's a totally artificial way of creating the haploid plants. While on the other hand, there is one natural way, one and only natural way through which there is a creation of the haploid plants is the parthenogenesis, and Dhatura is a very good example of it, okay? Now consider the pollen culture, okay? Now see, the microspore or the immature pollens can be used as egg plants to get the haploid plants directly. So basically, we have studied lot of things regarding the plant tissue culture, and in the plant tissue culture, we have used egg plants as a leaves. And as you know, leaves are always diploid leaves, right? Containing the whole number of chromosomes. The same is true for the stem, same is true for the root, okay? So for maximum plant parts which are there, they are always the diploid plant parts, and hence when you use the explant as a leaves, it is going to create the diploid plant, right? It will always create the diploid plant, quiescent plant. But when you take the microspore or say immature pollen as an explant, this can directly create the haploid plant, because pollen itself is a haploid, okay? Because pollen grains contain the half number of chromosome, and if you use the pollen grain as a explant, then it can create the haploid plants directly. And you know the whole process. The process is similar, right? We take the explant, we use the media, we sterilize the media, we sterilize the glasswares, and then we grow them in the plant tissue culture laboratory under the aseptic condition by maintaining the humidity, temperature, pressure, etc. And finally, the plantlets got created and they were transferred to the field, okay? The process is same, but what is different here? The explant we are using is a different thing. That is the pollen grain, which is an haploid structure in the plant, and that is why it is going to create the haploid plants directly. Right? Now see, for pollen culture, the flower buds are collected. Now see how we do the pollen culture. What is the procedure? The very first thing we do for the pollen culture is the collection of the flower buds, because you know inside the flower buds you will find there will be the presence of immature anthers, and within this particular immature anther you will find the presence of the immature pollen grains, okay? Then the surface sterilized and the anther lobes are dissected out from the flower buds as before, okay? So basically what we do, we sterilize this whole part we have taken from the plant, okay? What we have taken, the flower bud we have taken, and first thing we have to do is the sterilization. And you know the reason why we sterilize everything in the plant tissue culture, because we have to avoid the fungal infection, bacterial infection, and the viral infection to be occur during the plant growth within the plant tissue culture laboratory. So whatever you collect in the plant tissue culture for the purpose as a explant, you should sterilize them quickly, okay? So flower buds are first collected, and their anther lobes were dissected, okay? Their anthers were dissected to take out the pollen grains from the inside, and they were got sterilized perfectly, okay? Now once they sterilized, then the anther lobes were squeezed with the help of the scalpel, okay? By using the scalpel, what we have to do? You have to squeeze the anther lobes within the tube or the small beaker to collect the microspores or the pollen grain in the nutrient medium. So basically, through these anther lobes, we should collect the pollen grain, immature pollen grain, which are present inside this anther lobe. And how we do it? We just squeeze it with the help of scalpel, and you should collect this all pollen grains or the microspores in the beaker which is containing the nutrient media. And remember, the nutrient media should also be the sterilized one, okay? So what we have done, we have collected the flower bud, we have sterilized it, then we have cut open the anther lobes, and after cut opening the anther lobes, we have collected the immature microspores or the pollen grains, and these are pollen grains collected in the small beaker were transferred to the nutrient medium. Okay. Now after that, then these anther tissue debris were removed by filtering the suspension through the nylon sieve with the diameter slightly larger than the pollen size, allowing the microspores only to pass through it. Okay. So whatever the debris which will go inside with the pollen grains, these are pollen anther debris. We have to filter it out. Okay, and what we going to do for this particular thing? We are going to use the nylon sieve. Okay, the nylon sieve will contain the slightly larger than pollen size, and these pollens will automatically get filtered. Okay, so basically you pour the suspension into it, and these contain the very small pores which are just above the size of the pollen grain. Okay, so pollen grains will all filter out and they will get collected inside this beaker, and whatever the pollen debris are there, or our anther debris are there, these anther debris will remain at the surface because they are of larger size. Okay, so this important step is there during the anther culture, because during the pollen culture, the anther tissue debris will also go inside the beaker. So that is why the filtration process by using the nylon sieve is become very important, because it will later interfere in the tissue culture laboratories. Okay, because this process is going to create the whole new plant, and extra material should not be there. Okay, only the pure pollen grain should be there, as you can see in this particular picture. See, the small pollen grain should be there like this. Okay, and these are pollen grains should not contain any type of the anther tissue debris, and for that we should filter it out. This suspension should get filtered. Okay, now see, then the microspore suspension is washed and concentrated on the plating density. So basically whatever the microspore suspension is got created here, we should wash it, and after that we should concentrate it on the plating density. After that, the microspore were obtained, then mixed with the appropriate culture medium. Okay, whatever the microspores are there now these are microspores will be placed on the culture medium, and after placing them on the culture medium at the density of 10 to the power 3 and 10 to the power 4 microspore per ml, what we have to do, we have to transfer them to the small petri plates. Okay, so appropriate on the culture medium, we should plant all these particular microspores, and these are microspores where should be placed on the small petri plates. Okay, so that they can grow easily on these petri plates which are containing the nutrient medium. So right from the collection of the flower buds till to the placing them on the small petri plates is the process of cleaning, sterilizing, and starting of the haploid culture. Okay, so here now the pollen grains we have on the small petri plate. Now see, to ensure a good aeration, the layer of liquid in the dish should be as thin as possible. Okay, so basically whatever the layers of the media are there on the petri plate, they should be thin as possible, so that there should be the good aeration. Okay, and they should get sealed with the parafilm to avoid the dehydration. So they should be covered with the parafilm material, so that it should not get contaminated by the pathogens which are present in the environment or in the air. So basically we should seal them with the parafilm to avoid the dehydration firstly, as well as we should avoid the air contamination. Okay, although in the plant tissue culture we always going to use the fumigation, and due to the fumigation there will be the clearance of the air in that surrounding, but to avoid the dehydration due to the high temperature as well, we should use the parafilm. Okay, now after that, see, the responsive pollen grain will divide automatically. Then okay, what will happen now we have the petri dish, we have the growth medium, and we have the pollen grain placed inside this petri dish, and we have covered this with the parafilm. Okay, now what will happen, these pollen grains will absorb the nutrient medium, and in the nutrient medium there are vitamins, minerals, and various type of the nutrients. All these things are there, and these things will readily provided to the pollen grain, and this pollen grain will then divide to form the embryo or the callus, which directly or indirectly will form the haploid plantlet. Okay, so after the formation of a callus, or say after the formation of a embryo, this embryo will directly get converted into the small plantlet. Okay, what it will create, it will create the small plantlet, and this plantlet will be the haploid plantlet. Okay, this is the haploid plantlet, because what we have used to create this plantlet is the haploid pollen grains. Right, by following the methods subculturing, the whole suitable plants for the soil transfer can be obtained. So so we do the subculturing. Once we have the callus got separated into the 4 to 5 pieces, and these 4 to 5 pieces of the callus will allowed to go on the different mediums, and they can create as many as plant as you want. Okay, and once the plantlet got created, then we can transfer it to the soil. Okay, so basically this is how we can create the whole new plant out of the pollen haploids. And the very special thing regarding this culture is the creation of the haploid plants, because on any other scale, any other tissue culture technique, we are not going to create the haploid plants, but when you use the pollen culture, we can easily create the haploid plants. Okay, and it's like a whole plant which is a haploid. Every cell of that plant will contain the half number of chromosome, that is the n number of chromosomes are always present, and no twice n condition will be seen in this particular plant. Okay, so this is the most significance of the pollen haploids, or the haploids which is created by using the pollens. Okay, so let us consider the what are the advantages of the pollen haploids. Okay, now see the X plant, that is the microspores or the pollens are the all haploid cells, and due to this the sequence of androgenesis can be observed right from the starting of the single cell. So basically when we use the pollen haploids, these pollen haploids can be easily planted on the tissue culture medium, and you can easily observe the whole process of the androgenesis. How the androgenesis occur, this whole process can be observed under the plant tissue culture technique of the haploid culture, and hence this technique has a significance because it is going to allow us to observe the every stages which is relating with the androgenesis. Okay, now the microspores are very ideal for the uptake. Okay, how the macrospores are there, they are very ideal for the uptake, and then the transformation and the mutagenic studies of the macrospores are eventually exposed to the chemicals and the physical mutations. So basically here we can understand how the mutagenic how the mutations occur in these particular pollen grains. Okay, we know the mutations are there during the sexual reproduction. So if the mutations are occurring in the pollen grains, how these mutations are occurring, we can observe them by giving them a treatment of chemicals that are causing the mutation, or the physical agents that are causing the mutations. So basically by using the chemical and the physical mutations treatment, we can see in the plant tissue culture laboratory how these particular pollen grains or the microspores get mutated. Okay, how the mutation occur in these pollen grains, right? But you should remember the very first and the very biggest advantage of the pollen haploids is that out of the single pollen grain which is a haploid, we can create the whole new plant which is also an haploid plant. Okay, so this is the biggest significance. And then you can say that we can observe the androgenesis process. Yes, we can also observe how the mutation occur during the macrospore development. Okay, so the process of androgenesis can be observed, and the process of the mutation, how it occurs, it can be also observed by giving them a treatment of the chemical or the physical mutations. Okay, now see what are the disadvantages of this technique. See, okay, so there are some of the disadvantages as well. See, the main disadvantage of the anther culture is that the plants or the embryos not only originate from the microspores or the pollen, it may also originate from the various other parts of the anther lobes, that is the anther walls, nucellus, tapetum, which are diploid tissue. Okay, now see, if you allow it to have the contamination, that is if the filtration is not proper, then not only the pollens are involved in the process of creation the haploid plant, but also the other structures like the anther wall, nucellus and tapetum, all of which are diploid structure. If these structures get involved in the plant tissue culture laboratory, then the diploid plant will get created. Okay, so basically this will be the failure of this process. And how to avoid it, you know, the filtration process, it becomes very, very important here. There should be the removal of anther wall, there should be the removal of nucellus, there should be the removal of the tapetum. Okay, because in the sole purpose of the pollen culture is to obtain the haploid plant, and if these tissues get involved, this will create the diploid plant. So basically the very first disadvantage of this particular pollen culture is that the other structure, if they got involved, they can result in the creation of the diploid plant instead of the haploid plant, which is the basic aim of this haploid culture. Now, see, the second disadvantage is that the anther wall or other tissue may also affect the process of androgenesis by inhibiting the penetrance of the media in stimulating effect of the hormone supplied. See, these anther walls can disturb the growth and development of the pollen grain within the media, because these media which are containing the different kinds of the stimulating effect, for example, the hormones are supplied, vitamins are supplied, but this anther wall can be the stopping point where these vitamins or the hormones going to absorb by the pollen grains. See, for example, if there are the pollen and it is covered with the pollen wall like this pollen wall will not allow the nutrient media to reach to the pollen grain. Okay, so basically this pollen grain will remain deficient of the nutrient medium, and hence this whole process gets failed often due to the presence of the anther wall, and the proper process of the androgenesis will not occur here. Now this difficulty can be avoided by culturing the isolated macrospores or the pollen grain. So basically what we can do, we just take the single macrospore, okay, just single pollen grain you take and you plant the single macrospore, so there will not be any chances of presence of the anther wall there. Okay, so this is the second disadvantage, that the anther wall will not allow the pollen grain to absorb the complete nutrient media, and it will result in the failure of the process of androgenesis, which will result in the failure of the whole culture of the haploid plant production. Okay, so remember these are two disadvantages are also there. Okay, so this is all about the pollen haploids. So this is all about this topic. Okay, thank you very much for watching this video. Please like this video share this video with your friends who are studying the botany. And if you haven't subscribed to the Botany After channel yet, please subscribe to the Botany After channel for UPSC examination. Again, thank you very much for giving your time. See you in the next video lecture. Thank you.